You
which
really need
just
to name. You should name coffee after you. Coffee, coffee, coffee,
coffee,
coffee.
coffee.
I'll
Yeah,
have some coffee, 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 coffee.
the two things that I always get when I introduce myself to people is, sorry, did you say coffee? Or when they mispronounce my name, instead of saying Kovi, they say Kovi. They're like, oh, like COVID. I'm like, yeah, no,
I'd rather
I'm
have the
not.
coffee.
I'd rather have the coffee as well.
Just FYI, I think we started record. Did we start recording?
Do we start recording?
Yes, we did. Just FYI, everyone who's just heard that little bit, Kovi started the coffee thing, not me trying to make fun of him for the similar sounds, but I will now.
It was only because Benjamin was saying, I'm coughing. And to me, that almost sounded like I'm Covey. And so I had to remind him that he's Benjamin and I'm Covey and he's coughing, but I'm Covey.
I think, and this is just my personal opinion, all jokes are much, much better when they're fully explained.
I think so as well. Yeah. And the
Coffee,
reason for
coffee?
that,
Not
actually,
enough. Benjamin's coughing, and my name's Coffee, and he said I'm coughing, and I said, no, I'm coughing. Yeah, that's way better.
I'm just picturing that Simpsons meme of McBain doing stand-up saying, that was the joke. But this is good content.
Well, it's content.
It is content. Yeah.
It is
Across
content.
the bare
You
minimum
listeners at home can
threshold.
decide if it's good content. And if you don't think it's good content, keep it to yourself. But if you think it's good, tell your friends.
Tell everyone if you think it's good.
Yes.
So for those of you who weren't sure, this is Science Actually Presents the Nerd and the Scientist.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome, dear listeners. Welcome to all of our guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Thank you for joining us for another
Yes.
exploration of what space topics do Benjamin and Covey find vaguely interesting this week.
This week, roids.
Roids. I know. Roids, they're swole. They're thick.
We had a probe come back from giving a good boop to asteroid Bennu a week ago. And so
Yes.
we're talking about asteroids today, everybody, and not the Atari video game, which was a fantastic game.
Which I realized as we were about to record. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm wearing my Asteroids t-shirt. And I realized, no, it's the other Atari video game.
It's Galaga. Jesus. It's
I'm sorry. But yeah, that was very exciting to see after 2.5 years of the OSIRIS-REx mission orbiting around the asteroid Bennu, getting that sample returned back here. And it is a massive sample.
It is.
Yeah.
It's got actual rocky debris and lots of dust, lots of soot, and all of it is from the beginnings of the solar system.
Yeah, I don't think people have a good intuition for why why we get so excited about asteroids. And it's just a space rock. Like, bro, who cares? But when you realize that asteroids are the leftover bits from planet formation in, the early part of the solar system, you're talking about sampling something that's 4.5 billion with a B, billion years old, right?
It's insanely old.
Why is Benjamin pointing at himself as it's insanely old?
No, I was pointing at myself when he said billions with a B. I'm B, Benjamin. I'm not billions of years old. Parts of me on an atomic level might be, but that's about it.
You are star stuff, which means
Hey,
you
you
are
sounded like a Sagan I know.
insanely old.
But yes, asteroids are these untouched leftover bits of the accretion disk that eventually forms the planets around our sun, and they've been sitting out there untouched. Other than smacking into each other once in a while, but untouched by anything else. No, no tidal waves have been crashing over them, or no rocks forming or rubbing against them, no tectonic plates moving them, or they haven't been cycled through the core of a planet as things have been moving and undulating over billions of years. They've just been sitting there, and it's really,
Patiently
really
waiting.
exciting. And scientists have got the sample back, and the only article I can find about what's inside of it so far is the scientists gasped when they opened it. That's it. That's the only thing I saw. Like, great, what was in it? Nothing yet. We'll find out soon.
I love the idea that scientists are now writing papers with kind of like arcs, like HBO series, where it's like, find out next time on our next paper about the Osiris Rex mission.
Well, you got to milk the stuff. They got to keep the public interested.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
because the public are the ones reading our papers, obviously. Um, yeah, it's super interesting. Studying these asteroids gives us insights into what elements were flying around during the formation of our solar system, because the stars form from, as we've discussed in previous episodes, collapsing clouds of gases, and then when those gases have other heavier elements mixed into them, the disk that is of stuff pulled together that forms the star, whatever's left over of those heavier elements forms a protoplanetary disk. It's like the pre-planet disk, and then whatever's left over from that of the stuff that couldn't quite get its stuff together to form a planet ends up in these rocky asteroids. And I think another thing that's really potentially interesting is the implications for or for, I should say, astrobiology, because you can look for organic compounds on these asteroids when we're sampling them. So we can not only sample, the chemical composition of our early solar system, but look to see if we can find organic material similar to that which we find on Earth.
Like
Which
what?
would
Give me some samples. Examples of samples.
samples
Examples.
what I'm talking about is the sort of compounds that we associate with life, right? So we're talking about like very basic proteins, and these compounds. And I don't want to go too deep into the detail because I'm not a biologist and I'm not a chemist and I don't want to pretend to be. But I think that the fundamental question behind it, which we can all probably relate to and say, "Whoa, that's interesting, dude," hopefully, is this idea that a big part of astrobiology or most of astrobiology is looking for life outside of Earth, and you kind of come up against this split, this fork in the road, where it's like, if we find life elsewhere outside of Earth, is that life going to be similar to the life that we have on Earth, or is it going to be totally different? Right? Both of which are super interesting, because if they're different, it means that there are different ways that life can form independently. If they're similar, it means there's kind of one track, and this tends to be the way that life will form. It could also mean that it could support theories like the panspermia theory, which I know we've talked about on our old show, how much we
Right.
love panspermia, right? This idea that these asteroids actually seeded life on Earth, which would be crazy, just
That would be
absolutely
crazy.
crazy. So yeah, asteroids, super interesting, super interesting, very relevant for life and philosophical questions like
Very
that.
cool. We also have a new mission heading towards asteroid Psyche, which is a very metal rich asteroid. Metal. But
Med.
a lot of articles that you can see online are saying asteroid Psyche is like 100 times wealthier than Elon Musk because it's supposedly packed full of precious metals, which I think is both interesting that it's packed full of precious metals and also sad representation of how we try to explain science to the general public. Psyche is so many elephants big and wealthier than Elon Musk, and it's, it's,
He
it's
had a
driving me
new
crazy.
one
It's driving me
recently.
crazy.
Our friend over at the Jerusalem Post, Aaron Reich, had a new article about an asteroid that will pass safely above the Earth that is
Oh,
the size of 1,000 capybaras.
okay. Well, I can actually visualize 1,000 capybaras. So for me, that metric that works. No, it doesn't work. I can't visualize a capybara.
Not even one.
Well, I can see a picture of it, and I did do a top 10 list for science. Actually, check it out on my social media platforms. That capybara is the number one largest rodent on the planet. So, if
Huh.
anybody, a little side and not science, not space science tidbit for you guys. Yeah,
Interesting. That
it's
is a fun
fun.
fact.
It is a fun fact.
And so was Psyche the mission that just launched, or they're just about to
They're
launch?
just about to launch, I believe, or yes, and they're gonna go to Psyche, not to bring anything back, but I think to scan the asteroid and really um, whatever electronic knickknacks and doodads that are on board, they're going to really probe deeply inside and see uh, how much of all these different precious metals are actually in there, and basically why does it have such a higher mass for its size than average asteroids do for that
Mhm.
size. Um, it's an M-type asteroid, and I
Mm.
wondered, does that mean M-type for asteroids means metal? And yep, that's what it means. I have a question actually for Mr. Astrophysicist. We have M type asteroids and we have M type stars. Do we have M type planets and do we have M type moons? I mean, this M type thing is this just like let's just throw it out there. Is you guys M type stuff? How many M type things? We have M type nebulas and M type supernovas. Come on.
D-
Or are those the only two M type things?
I I think I think the best way to answer this question is with another question.
Oh boy.
Um, M, I mean M or T or A, any letter has an abundance of meanings in physics, right? Like so like T can mean temperature, obviously, it can mean tension. Um, I mean, you can have just I mean, P can be pressure, but P can also be momentum because I guess it's per momentum. Like I don't know, for some reason, it's a silent P. Um, I think the fundamental reason is that people just are bad at naming things, and we only have a limited English alphabet to use. Like half the time, um, we use Greek letters, but then we run out of those as well. Like alpha can, be a type of particle. It can also be an angle. I think that's like the short answer is people come up with naming conventions because one person decides it's a good idea and then it sticks. Like you have the whole stellar classification system for stars, um, which has a whole list of mnemonics. That are used to remember them because there's no reasonable order and there's no actual reason, um, these days for why we continue to use that classification. It's not alphabetized. It's just based on some historic reason. Um, are there M-class moons? Not to my knowledge, but I guess any moon is an M-class moon if you want to make bad jokes, which I guess is part of the theme of the show.
Because the letter M is in moon. I got that.
Yes, yes. Look at us over explaining jokes. I love it. I feel like generally on sci-fi shows like Star Trek when they talk about M-class planets, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if there's a specific classification in actual astrophysics or planetary science for an M-class planet. I think it's more like that's probably likely to be derived from a planet around an M-class star. So like an M dwarf, which is one of the most common, brown dwarf or cooler dwarf type stars that are around. And so M dwarfs are the most common, or one of the most common types of stars. Then planets around M dwarfs would be M-class planets, I guess. Maybe. I mean, it was
Eh,
news to me when you told me that this was an M-class asteroid. That I had not heard before.
I I knew we were going to talk about asteroids today, so I just read a little bit about a bunch of different asteroids, and caught my eye that Psyche is an M-type asteroid, and I thought, wait a second. I know there are other M-type things, stars. I knew that. You brought up Star Trek. Say M-type planets a lot. I didn't want to say that because that's fantasy. But I was like, oh, I'll ask Kovi. He'll be thrilled to have this question. And he was.
I like it. Speaking of fantasy and things that are totally made up, I think it's time for our ad break.
Yeah, let's do a commercial.
Yes.
Hey, Kovi. You ever want fun and facts and science at the exact same time?
You know what, Benjamin? I do. And
I mean, I've gone out there, I've had fun and I've had science at the same time. I've gone out there and I've had facts and science at the same time. But if ever there's a way I could go online and experience fun and facts and science at the same time, my day would be made. It would be great. It'd be great.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Benjamin, because there is a place on the interwebs where you get fun and facts and science at the same time.
You're blowing my mind.
You will never guess what this magical place is called.
What's it called, Kovi?
Fun Fact Science.
Fun Fact Science. What do I have to do?
Literally nothing.
How much is this going to cost me?
Literally nothing.
I can swing that. I think I can swing that.
You can definitely budget for that. Yes, we are talking about Fun Fact Science, which you can find on all of the good social media platforms and even the bad social media platforms. Available now for the low cost of absolutely nothing.
Of $0.99 or less.
We need to find a real sponsor. These are getting out of control.
But they're fun. We did rubber ducks. We did mystery product. And now we did Fun Fact Science. These are great.
We will continue to do rubber ducks. Rubber ducks will always be supported on this podcast.
Yes. Rubber ducks. Rubber ducks don't need to hide in shame. You have a home here, rubber ducks.
This is a safe space. Quack, quack.
This is a rubber duck friendly zone.
So back to the show.
Back to asteroids and space and stuff.
One thing that came up last week in our discussion, I don't remember how exactly it came up, but one thing that we were discussing was a particular astronomer who I don't want to name because I don't want to provide them with free advertising. But there's a particular astronomer who's become well known for promoting the idea that certain asteroids are evidence of alien life.
Really?
Yeah. And so there are two cases, two famous cases. One that's kind of more ongoing now, and one that has been ongoing for the past few years that I'm referring to. So the first is, yes, I know, right? Drama in the world of astrophysics.
Yeah.
So the first one is the case of Oumuamua.
Oh, that one. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, he's like, oh, I know this one.
I know this one.
Yeah, Oumuamua, which is Oumuamua. So Oumuamua was this interstellar object that flew past the Earth And we were able to track its trajectory to see, wow, it's coming in super fast. It looks like it's come in from outside the solar system, and it looks like
Mm-hmm.
it's swinging out of the solar system again. So those few measurements that we got when we noticed it very close to the Earth and to the Sun, that's it. That's all we got. A couple of measurements. And people lost their minds about it because they're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, it's coming in so fast that it has to be coming in, not from the asteroid belt or not from the Kuiper belt or Oort cloud or these outer regions of our solar system. No, it's falling in so fast that it's not just gravity pulling it in that's causing it to accelerate. It's coming from another solar system. Um, and the problem is that with so little data, people started to get a little bit too excited with their theories of what was causing it. And there was one particular theory which suggested that its fast velocity and a slight increase in or change in its acceleration as it approached the sun, and also its shape, which you can kind of estimate certain characteristics of its shape from how its light was changing and those few measurements that we got. All of those things were leading to people saying, okay, so it's like a weird elongated shape coming through really fast. And then
Right.
one particular group took the step of saying, aha, you know what it must be? An alien spaceship. Oh, sorry. You're pointing at yourself. I don't think you're an alien spaceship.
No, you're. I was pointing at you and throat, saying, trying to sign language, which I don't speak. Your voice was cutting in and out.
Oh, my voice was cutting in and out. Ah, sorry.
Yeah.
I will be
Okay.
closer to the microphone from now
I
on.
guess we'll get those winning lottery numbers later.
Yes. Um, but
Back to
yeah.
Oumuamua.
Yes, so basically, Oumuamua has had this whole back and forth. This one particular astronomer has been, going out on a limb saying, no, it's an alien. It's a part of an alien spaceship or an alien light sail, which is a theoretical technology that accelerates using light or photons,
Mm-hmm.
in the same way that a wind sail on a ship accelerates due to air particles and wind. And it's basically been this one person against the entire astronomical community, and it's led to some pretty frustrating exchanges. Because at the end of the day, this person who is a smart person, an astronomer, an astrophysicist with all the credentials,
Like you.
I no, I mean, like, I want to be respectful
Absolutely.
whilst also calling this out for what it is. Like, this is a person who, has spent decades in astrophysics, right? But this is the
Mm-hmm.
thing. So you were asking me before about M-class asteroids, and I know nothing about that because I work on radio astronomy and I work on radio stars and supernovae, and I have some general knowledge about astrophysics and physics and astronomy, but my area of expertise is this one niche topic. And this particular person as well worked on high energy astrophysics and astrophysics around black holes, and as smart as they are / were, planetary science and asteroid science was absolutely not something they worked on.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they have decided that they know better than all of that community and all of those people who work on that topic. And it's just been kind of frustrating to see how all of the actual experts in that field keep saying, well, that's an interesting idea, but the facts don't point that way. That's a fun idea, but the facts don't point that way. We'd love for that
Right.
to be true. However, no. And then the frustrating thing has been to kind of see how, rather than accepting that humbly and saying, you're right, I should leave it to people in the field or I should collaborate with them, this person has just said, no, you just don't want to believe. And it's frustrating,
Hey,
right?
I
Like,
can imagine.
all of us, pretty much every astronomer that I know, would love to find evidence of alien life.
Absolutely.
But
Who wouldn't? Sure.
it has to be, well, I mean, the creationists probably. But yeah, so that's an asteroid that has, much ado about maybe not nothing, but not much.
Right.
Um, and the second case was a similar thing with the same person basically taking an asteroid that uh, did
Same
actually,
person.
same person who will remain nameless, um, doing basically the same thing where an asteroid did come to Earth and break apart in the atmosphere and burn up into a bunch of little pieces, and those pieces hit the ocean, and this person went to Papua New Guinea to search the seabed without the permission of the local authorities, dug up a bunch of small metal spheres from the ocean floor, and said, "Hey, these tiny metal spheres
Proof.
are proof uh,
Proof. Look.
that it was alien technology that burnt up." And again, the experts have said, "Nah, bro, like that's not that's not a
So this guy's proof for interstellar traveling alien species is that they can rocket through our solar system in a very awkward, tumbly kind of way for no rhyme or reason, or they just crash. They figured out how to get to Earth, but not the landing part. Okay, yeah, I buy it.
They're not sending us out their best; they're sending us their worst."
We figured out how to get to another planet. All right, let's land on it. What? You just
Where
said get here.
Wait, we didn't even think that we'd make it to another planet. We didn't think to put brakes.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
frustrating.
Yes, I can
And
imagine.
like astronomers are very bad at keeping secrets. Like when there is evidence of aliens and it's good evidence, it's like you will not have to be looking around in conspiracy world to find that evidence. Like go find that evidence. Like go go on social media, go onto like Blue Sky and look at the astronomers and what they're tweeting, and like everyone will be talking about it immediately. Like no,
Right.
none of this conspiracy stuff. I think the
Wow.
worst part, if I can make one more complaint about this particular person,
Please do.
and then I'm done. I swear. I'm sorry. I had to vent. No, because like as like the only astronomer, as, like the only astronomer in the lives of my family and most of my friends, I often like they'll hear about this stuff because this stuff gets media attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you say clickbaity things, you get clicks, and so people were giving this attention in the media, and this person has the credentials to be believed in the media despite everything that we've discussed. Um, and so the worst part is that this person, did some public talk that was in collaboration with SETI, the organization, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And SETI has been, basically working on this for like the better part of a century, right? Working on finding radio signals of aliens,
I
and
did not know that SETI was around that long.
I mean, maybe I'm
Wow.
rounding up, but I'm pretty
Still.
sure SETI has been around since the 60s, 70s. Yeah. Um, like in one form or another, looking for radio signals for alien life, or looking for chemical signatures in other astronomical data. The listening for communications, and this person gave a talk that was attended by a bunch of SETI people, including Jill Tarter, and Jill Tarter is an incredible astronomer, and she has spent most of her life working at SETI searching for aliens. And this dude, this nameless astronomer, or when Jill Tarter pushed back a little bit on his claims of you know finding aliens or evidence of aliens, and he turned around and said, "No, you just don't want to believe that aliens are real." It's like, bro, look who you're talking to.
I'm talking to people who are searching for them and want more than anyone else to believe. And they just want the little bit of proof that that's it. And that's the one thing that's not being provided.
Just a little bit, yeah. So this is related to asteroids because there are these two examples of asteroids that, some people are claiming, like one or two people are claiming, represent proof of alien life. Overwhelming majority of the community and experts in the science that's being used to make these claims say no. Um, However, asteroids are a great place to look for signs of alien life.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That I agree
and
with.
yeah. Do you think we can mine asteroids for goodies, or is not? It's simply not worth the effort of going all the way out there to get a little bit of gold and bring it back when we can just dig up what we have here.
I think
It's
I
not
think it's a
cost
really
effective yet.
interesting. Yeah, it's not cost effective yet. It's also not fuel efficient. Like,
Nope.
one of the big issues that people bring up when it comes to um, more environmentally friendly technologies is that those technologies utilize um, metals that are incredibly expensive and not climate friendly to mine. So I think when we can figure out a way of mining these metals from asteroids and doing so in a way that's cost effective and that is, better for the environment as well, definitely there's a future there. I think so.
I love it.
And after
Exciting.
all that complaining, we can end
After
on
all
a
that
slightly.
complaining about an asteroid that crashed into Papua New Guinea and Oumuamua.
I mean,
Harking back to the M type thing when Kavi said that
yes.
everything's M type because we're running out of letters to name things. Oumuamua is a is that it got its name because of precisely that. Everything in our solar system that we found is named after Roman gods, and when we ran out of those, Greek gods, and then when they ran out of those, Viking gods, and Oumuamua is
Shakespeare
named after
characters.
Shakespearean characters. And
Sorry.
as we run out of characters, they now are starting to use Hawaiian gods, and that's how Oumuamua got its name. In case you're wondering, does that sound Hawaiian? It's because it is.
Yes. I think that's also really good. Something to be kind of harking back to, um, maybe not Western cultures, names for astronomical objects, right? So like the Magellanic Clouds, for example,
Mm-hmm.
you know, named for Magellan. What is it?
Right.
Spanish, Portuguese? Crap, I can't remember now. A European explorer. Um, Yet the Magellanic Clouds were a important part of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, the indigenous Australian um, astronomical folklore and stories and culture for tens of thousands of years before Magellan was even born. So I do like the idea of using more traditional names uh,
Right.
for astronomical objects.
And let's round out this episode of Asteroids by my four favorite asteroids. These are their actual names. Four in a row: John, Paul, George, and Ringo. That's right, guys. There are Beetle asteroids out there. Four asteroids moving in a row together. They're all similar in size, and they're all actually given the names John, Paul, George, and Ringo, which is a nice traditional name.
I had no idea.
You did not know? Yes, it is
I had no
true. You can
idea.
look it
That's
up.
great.
I've known that one for a while. Of all the things that sticks in my head. How to
I
balance
love that.
the family budget? Nope. But there's four asteroids called John, Paul, George, and Ringo. And Ringo's the stupid one of the asteroids.
Do you know that quote when the Beatles were being interviewed? This has nothing to do with anything space related, but they were interviewing the Beatles, and they asked them if they thought um, they they asked John Lennon, "Do you think that Ringo Starr is the best drummer in the world?" And he says, "I don't even think he's the best drummer in the Beatles." Love it. But yes, let's end there.
Let's end there. Talk about the Beatles.
Yes. Thank you, everyone who has been listening to this episode of The Nerd and the Scientist, presented by Science Actually. Where can they find you, Benjamin?
Hello. I am Benjamin Salas. You might know me from such social media networks as Blue Sky, TikTok, Threads, Mastodon, Hive, the social media network formerly known as Twitter, LinkedIn, and of course, Facebook. Science actually is the name, and we are on all of those. So seek us out and have fun and learn sciencey things and share them with your friends. Hey, Kovi, how about you, pal? Come on, Covs. Hey, Covs.
As you might have picked up from our lovely unsponsored ad segment in the middle of the show, you can find me at Fun Fact Science on all of the time wasters that Benjamin mentioned, and maybe a couple more that I made an account for and then totally forgot about.
Yeah,
So all the social media platforms, all those places, and yeah, you can find us there. Check out our episodes, comment positive things, um, and let us know what you're keen to hear more of in our future episodes.
pretty sure it's more Beatles trivia.
We'll
We'll
always
find out if you guys just comment and let us know what you'd like to hear.
all right, and we'll see you next time.